The golden anniversary was supposed to be a celebration. 50 years of love, commitment, a milestone that deserved the chandeliers, the roses, the live orchestra humming softly in the background. I drove there with a gift in the back seat, neatly wrapped in gold paper. A small gesture compared to the quiet support I'd been giving her parents for years. To them, this party wasn't just an event. It was a monument to their status. And I had helped build that monument brick by brick, dollar by dollar. I arrived in my best suit, my tie adjusted just right, my heart ready to show respect. But from the very first moment, something felt wrong. Guests glided past me, faces familiar from holidays and forced dinners, but their eyes avoided mine. Some nodded stiffly, others whispered. I ignored it. I thought maybe it was nerves, the weight of the occasion. Then I reached the front, where my wife's parents stood, glowing in the golden light of the ballroom. Her father's hand rested on her mother's arm, both of them radiant in their expensive attire. I smiled, extended a hand, but before I could speak, her father's voice cut through the air. "Sorry," he said coldly. "You're not invited." I blinked, confused. "What do you mean? This is your anniversary. I'm family." My mother-in-law's lips curled, sharp as a knife. "Family? You? Don't embarrass yourself. This is a high-class event, not a place for people like you." The words struck me harder than I expected, though they shouldn't have surprised me. I had always been the outsider, the man they never approved of. To them, I was beneath their daughter, a burden rather than a blessing. I tried to steady myself. "I'm your son-in-law. I came here to honor you both." But before I could finish, her father snapped his fingers and security appeared. Two men in black suits stepped forward, their presence heavy and humiliating. "Get this beggar out," he ordered, his voice loud enough for guests to hear. Heads turned, whispers spread like wildfire. My cheeks burned. My heart raced. The guard stepped closer. One put a hand on my shoulder. I could have resisted. I could have made a scene. But I didn't. I straightened my suit, nodded politely, and walked away. My footsteps echoed against the marble floor, each one heavier than the last. I left quietly. But I wasn't broken, because what they didn't know, what my wife didn't even fully realize, was that for years I had been the one paying their bills. The country club membership, the house renovations, the luxury cars they flaunted as their own, all of it flowed through me. $500,000 of silent generosity, stretched over time, keeping their golden facade alive. And in that moment, as the doors closed behind me and the laughter of the party faded, I made a decision. I canceled everything. The monthly transfers, the scheduled payments, the credit guarantees. Every lifeline I had extended to them was cut clean in half with a few taps on my phone. Their golden empire, so carefully maintained, would crumble by morning. I drove home in silence, the city lights blurring past the windshield. My wife called me, her voice full of panic. "Where are you? Why aren't you at the party?" I told her the truth. I told her how her parents humiliated me, how they called security, how they spit the word beggar in my face. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then her whisper, I don't know what to say. But I knew that in her silence was the same betrayal as her parents' words, because she hadn't defended me before. She hadn't stood up to them. She had allowed their disdain to become the background noise of our marriage. Hours later, as the clock ticked past midnight, the first calls came. Her father, her mother, both numbers flashing on my phone, unanswered. I knew why. The payments had stopped. The cards had declined. The accounts they relied on so heavily were drying up. Their world was unraveling. And I didn't need to shout or fight or demand respect. My silence, my absence, my refusal to fund their arrogance anymore, that was enough. Because betrayal doesn't always come with another man or woman. Sometimes it comes in the form of neglect, of mockery, of treating someone as less than human. And sometimes the greatest revenge isn't loud. It's quiet, surgical, final. By the next morning, word spread. Guests from the anniversary whispered about the spectacle, about the cruel way they cast me out. But those same guests also noticed the sudden cracks in the golden image of her parents. Bills unpaid, cars repossessed, investments falling through. The empire had never been theirs. It had been mine, and I had simply taken it back. My wife cried that day, not because she had lost her parents' respect. They had never truly respected her either, but because she realized she had lost mine. She had stood by silently as they humiliated me, year after year, until I became invisible in her eyes too. I stayed quiet. I didn't yell. I didn't rage. I just let the truth settle in the air between us. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer. And as her parents watched their golden anniversary crumble into ashes of debt and shame, I finally understood. The cruelest betrayal wasn't theirs. It was hers. Because when I needed her voice, she gave me silence. And in the end, I gave it back.